there, Whovians, and welcome to another episode of Earth Station Who. One more episode after this one, folks. This is Wish World, where we wish there was more and more and more Doctor Who, but, it's just not happening. We only have 2 episodes. This one, Wish World, and next week's finale. I'm always on pins and needles when it comes to the season finales, because the first part is always really juicy, really gives you a lot of detail, and then especially RTD right down the for the finals. So I'm going to be very curious to see where this goes. I have hope. I wish it's going to be a great final, and we've got a great crew to talk all about this one. Let's of course welcome our guest, author MacKenzie Flohr. Welcome.
Hello.
Long time no see.
I know. I'm very excited to be here, and I can say my Twitch community actually were very excited. They're like, "You're on Doctor Who show again, yay!" I'm like, "Yeah, I am."
It's awesome. I'm really glad you're here. And when we were going through who do we want for guests, and Melanie was like, "We haven't had MacKenzie on for a long time," and it was like, "No, we haven't." So it's perfect to have you here. So it's really good. So
thank you so much.
Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself real quick?
Well, sure. So, hello, for those who don't know me, I'm MacKenzie Flohr. I am your local cosplayer of the 13th Doctor. I also write some Doctor Who books. I've written the Binge Watcher Guide to Doctor Who, though don't tell my publisher, I still need to finish the series, and I still plan on it. I also have a book where I wrote a little short story on Yaz and the Doctor. So that's, I guess I'm going to say I'm a little bit of a historian when it comes to the 13th Doctor, though that's not my doctor.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And, you're going to be our victim tonight in the Whovian Geek Seat. So it should be great to find out all about that. And of course, we all know about these fine folks. Let's say hey to our regulars here. Melanie's here.
Hello, fellow Whovians. I can't wait to chat with all y'all about Who.
And of course, Ms. Mary Ogle's here.
Hello, everybody. It is fantastic to be here.
And last but never least in our book, Mr. Howdy himself, Mr. Michael Gordon.
Howdy.
Oh, we got a great one here. And God, this might go long again like last week's did, because I think there's even more to talk about this week than there was even last week's. So I'm still scratching my head about some stuff. I'm wondering about some stuff, and hopefully you guys can help clear that up. And maybe you guys at home can help clear it up. Feedback at Earth Station Who is the best way to get in touch with us. And we definitely would love to talk to you guys whenever you get a chance. What are you guys thinking about the season? Got in a couple pieces of email, so we'll read that, of course, at the end of the show. And as always, if you haven't seen this episode yet, why not? Why not? Come on. But we are going to be spoiling the hell out of this one. So you've been warned. It is going to be very interesting, and we'll do some speculations. We'll do some, trying to figure out how this ties in. And I'm just going to have a blast talking to my friends here about this. Of course, no real Doctor Who news other than came out today that I know at least folks in the UK, they will get the trailer for the war between the land and the sea after this Saturday's episode. So I'm hoping Disney Plus will also be doing that, because Disney will be showing the series. So
at the very least, we'll be able to see it on BBC's YouTube channel or the Doctor Who YouTube channel. I don't trust Disney Plus. They don't. You know what?
What?
This is something that has happened all season. But when I go into the Disney Plus prompt or the menu,
you have to dig for Doctor Who.
You have to dig for Doctor Who.
I've noticed that too.
We've noticed that too.
That is terrible.
It is wrong.
Yeah. And that's, why, it doesn't give me much faith for Disney picking up Doctor Who season 3 if they're not even promoting the new season.
I would have
They
thought
can't
it
even
been
afford to
a
put it
banner.
It should be a banner on the top.
I mean, at the least, just throw it in the slideshow at the top.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Is that so difficult?
No, it was easier for me to find the specials on for Doctor Who.
Yeah, because there
than
was
it was to
stuff.
find
Yeah.
to find the new season.
I have to go through search.
No,
Yeah.
for the first time I watched Doctor Who, it says continue watching on my list. But if I go back and I've watched this episode 3 times already. Every time I've had to go and search for it like Mary does. And it's really bad on Disney's part. It really is.
And it's so unusual. Usually they're so much better about that, but just the little things like that just would help so much. But the fact that they're not doing it, like you said, Mike, doesn't speak positively.
No, not at all. And truthfully, it's easy to find Andor. It's easy to find, Moana 2 or, any of the Star Wars stuff or The Simpsons, but Doctor Who, not at all.
Well, I mean, they own all those properties directly. So they might have a little bit of money in this, but they don't. Yeah, it is unfortunate. So I didn't know that. I figured I wasn't the only one that was experiencing that, but I know we hadn't really talked about it yet this season. So,
but
that has been very disappointing. Like when I went to watch it today, I was like, I know it's here somewhere.
I know. No, I agree with you completely. But on some good news, some really good news, I got another present from Amazon. So, God, they really need to sponsor this show. They really, Jeff, come on. Sponsor ESW. We really appreciate it. I got in the mail. I got a Fisher Price Little People Doctor Who set.
Finally, a shooty figure.
Yeah, there you go.
A shooty figure.
Yeah, it's really awesome. It's all the new series Doctors.
I love it.
Yes. So it is very cool. And it's going back in the box because literally, and where the hell am I on the camera?
Yeah, the camera has decided to be like Disney Plus and like, no, we're not promoting this.
It's following the TARDIS.
Exactly. That damn camera has a mind of its own. But yes.
Oh yeah. AI in action.
Exactly. It's like I'd rather watch the box than Faber. So it's cool. So there you go. I see what's more important to the camera. Thanks, camera. So, the AI overlords are watching over us. But yeah, I had ordered this. I think I pre-ordered that back in December. And I had actually forgotten about it. And it came in the mail on Saturday and it was just like, ooh, lucky me. So I was very excited about it. So it was, I wanted to share it with my, friends here and also the folks at home. So, and I think it wasn't all that expensive either. And you could find it, all on Amazon or the Doctor Who store or wherever you find good toys. You could find the Little People. So it's pretty awesome. So I know I have a couple discs coming in a couple weeks because I know we're getting Shooty's first season finally on Blu-ray is coming out. And so in the US version. So I think that's pretty awesome. And I think also one of the Blu-ray seasons, I think of Pertwee, I think is the next one. So we got all that coming. So cool stuff. And, I think it's going to be neat to be able to, continue to enjoy Doctor Who whenever we feel like. And, it's not like we don't have streaming, but, the great thing with streaming is you never know where you could find Doctor Who or you could find your favorite TV shows or whatever.
We all got okey doked from becoming from generations of, I had hard copies. And then we're like, I don't need all my CDs and discs and stuff like that because I can stream it. And then it's, now where?
Yep,
Let me go get my DVDs.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's easy for me to get the DVDs than it is to find it on the stupid Disney Plus menu.
Exactly.
Well, they can take it at any time too.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And that's why, I'm going to stick with, hard, at least for Doctor Who, for Red Dwarf, for all that, I'm going to keep the hard copies, just because it is hard to find some of that stuff. So it's, it's pretty cool stuff that we have coming and still doing. All right. I know we've been putting this off long enough. It's time to put MacKenzie into the geek seat.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun. All right, MacKenzie. this has been a long time coming. So I think, I've known you quite a few years now, and you ready for your first question in the Whovian Geek Seat?
Oh, sure.
All right. Who was your first Doctor?
Well, my first Doctor actually was Peter Davison, number 5.
Really? Oh, what episode do you know?
I don't recall. I want to say it was Castronova, but I don't actually remember. All I remember is that I was very, very, very young, and my dad introduced me, and I knew it was Peter Davison because, and I don't know exactly what the term is when you remember something, but it doesn't actually look exactly that way. All I could remember is that it was Peter Davison because of his hat, but if I had somebody draw out my doctor, it was like a version of part of Pertwee and Davison together. Very odd.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That would have been an interesting hybrid.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. What drew you to Doctor Who, after you saw it the first time? What caught your attention?
I think it was the TARDIS, honestly, because in that room, because that's what I remembered as a little girl. Of course, I always very much I'm very much a geek, and I like watching whatever my dad liked to watch. So he had introduced me, and I think his doctor might have been Tom Baker, perhaps. But I think at that time, this is during the Dark Age, right before the Dark Ages, when Doctor Who was on PBS, and you had reruns of Pertwee and Tom Baker, and then Peter Davison, and then it just kind of disappeared.
Right. No, that totally makes sense. And, like most of us, we only got to see Tom Baker over and over and over again on PBS. And then we got to see Peter Davison or Pertwee during sweeps, or their pledge time. So it was just like, oh, there's other doctors. I didn't know that. Well, it was funny. The first time I ever realized that there was any other doctors was when Marvel Comics put out the Doctor Who reprints here in the United States. And on the back cover, they had, did you know there's other Doctor Who's? And it had the first 4 doctors, on it. And they were holding up a picture of Peter Cushing's doctor also. And it was just like, so it was just like, oh, that's pretty awesome, type thing. So I didn't realize it until then that there were other actors. So it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Which doctor would you want to travel with?
Oh, hands down, Peter Capaldi.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm an Aries, and it turns out Peter Capaldi also, and I share the same birthday. So I'm a little biased there, but I understand his doctor very well, too, especially when he gets angry.
Well, Dr. Angry Eyebrows, as we like
yes.
to call him. Exactly.
But at the same time, I think we would maybe clash because we have very similar aspects or looks at things.
Okay. So, no, that's interesting. I could see that. Capaldi's doctor, and it was neat because Capaldi evolved his doctor as, and sometimes the doctor stays the same all the way through the regeneration and his era. Capaldi's doctor became more and more from am I a good man or am I a bad man, or to the aging rock star almost doctor and everything, which is pretty cool. What doctor would you not want to travel with?
Honestly, probably the first doctor. And
really?
Yeah.
You don't want to get a rock hit on your head,
I really don't like how... Now, if it was the first Doctor as in the original portrayer, I think I would more like him, but as how he has evolved as a character on screen anyway, he's become very more anti-women. So I don't think I would get along with him at all. I think I'd be doing a lot of clashing with him.
Okay. No, totally could see that. Totally could see you. What geeks you out the most about Doctor Who?
Going to Comic-Con and seeing everybody else geeking out and seeing all the costumes, seeing the panels, especially when the actors from the show and it doesn't matter what era it is, as long as there's somebody from Doctor Who that shows up. The same that kind of thing is similar for my books. My Write-A-Wan series, I specifically target Doctor Who fans, and the Whovians have been carrying me the entire time with my series, and so I'm very appreciative of that. So I geek out with them.
No, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. What turns your geek off about Doctor Who?
Honestly, what's going on right now, and it's all the not my Doctor fans, the racist people, those who the tabloids, they have nothing better to do, so they make up stories or beating up on Shude, for example, saying, "Oh, he's going to be fired because we don't have anything else to talk about." We don't. Oh, he didn't go to this Eurovision. He's getting fired. He got axed because he went to. So like that, a lot of that negativity. In fact, that negativity is actually. People didn't know this because I've been a very avid Doctor Who fan. I didn't actually watch this season until this past weekend because I had to like break my way away from all the negativity. So I just literally didn't watch any of the episodes until this past weekend. And I'm like, okay, finally, I'm going to watch it because I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm not going to let any of that negativity be on my face anymore.
No, totally understand that completely. And it's become rampant, and Whovians are now experienced what Star Wars fans and Star Trek fans have been experiencing for years already.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess we're in the big leagues now. So I totally understand that. Which Doctor Who companion would you like to meet the most?
Bill.
Really?
I love Bill.
Really?
And if it wasn't Bill, then Ace. I love both of them. And Bill, I love Bill is actually one of the reasons I love Bill so much is she reminded me a lot of Ace.
No, okay. No, totally understand that. Let's look at the flip side of that, though. Which Doctor Who villain would you not like to meet?
I would not like to meet Tim Shaw.
Wow. Quickly becoming the number one answer on the show. Well, you don't want to see. No, he's a dentist's nightmare. What do you mean?
Or joy.
Yeah, I don't know how you're looking at it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the 4 out of 5 dentists would, be enjoying. Yeah. The 5th one, not so much. There you go. What was your favorite Doctor Who geek out moment?
I'm going to have to say Wizard World had this opportunity in New York City where David Tennant and Matt Smith were both there at the same time. I went there with my wife. My wife is also named Donna, so she loves Donna Noble. So she dressed up as Donna Noble. I did Amy Pond, and it was so fun when you went up. David and Matt both knew exactly who's going for who, and even in the picture, Matt looks so protective of me. I love that. And then David was like, "I love your hair," and I'm like, "Thanks, but it's a wig."
That is.
Said you can have it.
You like my hair? Here. Yeah. What was your most disappointing Doctor Who geek out moment?
Honestly, it's when I cosplay as Jodie. It doesn't matter where I go. There's always somebody who has to just hit on her because she's a woman and was a woman doctor. It's like every single time. On Twitter, this is a crazy one. Twitter, there was a person on Twitter who goes, "You're ruining the show of Doctor Who." Because I dared to cosplay. Like, I was personally the reason why Doctor Who was apparently failing because I dared to dress as Jodie. I'm like, really? And so I responded back. I go, I wish I had that power.
Wow. Yeah, no, I agree completely with that. Some people just, they lash out where they shouldn't. And that's the worst part about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, MacKenzie, are you ready for your final question in the Geek Seat?
Ooh, yeah.
All right. This is for all the bag of marbles. So, this is all that counts. What or who would you like to see on Doctor Who?
Ooh, that's really a really interesting question. And it probably be a little controversial because of, Doctor Who is controversial sometimes. So I honestly would like to see a story about Anne Frank.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Talk about going dark.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I'm speechless on that one. No,
Well, this is the right time to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, her
Because
book's
fascism
banned,
is
so
returning.
Yeah,
So.
well,
Yeah.
no, exactly. And oh man, and that episode would have such a dark ending to it
Oh,
too.
yeah, absolutely. And I feel like I said at the time when I wanted the episode, I felt that Capaldi was the only doctor that could handle it, but I also think the Shooty's doctor could handle it too.
Oh, very much so. And he'd have the one tier, it's like you're a fixed point in time, or something that I can't take you with, or I can't save you. And because so many people, oh wow, man, that would be an amazing story. Wow. Bravo there. That is awesome. Well, MacKenzie, I got great news for you. You've made it through the Geek Seat.
Huzzah!
Mr. Mike Gordon, tell the young lady what she's won.
You have won a world of wishes.
Oh, and the harder we wish, the closer we're going to be getting to this episode review.
I mean, it does come with a price.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure every wish has a price.
Oh, yeah.
I doubt that.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I heard a slip. That was a slip. That was a slip.
I know. So with that being said, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back in a moment, and we're going to be diving all into Wish World. Welcome back, Whovians, and this is the review part, and we are looking at Wish World. Oh boy, they crammed so much into this episode. And, I have my complaints about it. I have my thoughts on it. I have my cheers and jeers. So it's going to be a lot of fun to talk all about this. But let's get initial thoughts from the crew. And these are just initial thoughts, not go into every detail on this. So, MacKenzie, you got to go first since you're our guest tonight.
Yay. So I agree with you. I felt it was very rushed. And I have my doubts. Oops, that was a slip.
No?
That RTD is going to be able to pull it off. Because I have this fear that it's going to happen to what happened last time around with the last season 1, where they had this great, going up that hill, gets to that hill, and then it was like a plane crash and everyone died. I don't want that to happen again. But overall, I really enjoyed this episode, despite all of that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm going to have a higher score than most people, simply because I was looking at it as a full picture of just looking at this episode itself.
Yeah. Let me actually throw that in real quick. We're all going to give scores for this episode tonight, but we do have the right to change the scores based off next week's episode. So
I love it. I love it.
I think that's only fair to do.
Yes.
So, okay. Awesome, MacKenzie. Mary.
I like this episode a lot. I think it's another good episode in this season. I also have a fear about RTD paying it off, which I think is justified on his track record, but you never know.
Hey, as long as we don't get Cyber Brigadier, I'm fine.
Oh my God. I love the WandaVision vibe.
Oh, big time. Big time.
And I love the scene where all the disabled people are in a circle and talking to each other about their experiences and about being invisible. And so I think, and yes, it had its flaws, but overall, I think it was a really good episode. And I just really hope RTD sticks the landing.
I don't know if I can cross my fingers so many times. All right, Mr. Mike.
I don't know why are we expecting RTD to do something non-RTD-ish? Like RTD has proven that, especially since he's been back with Doctor Who, that he's making it more RTD-ish than ever, right? So, you can hope, but this is just RTD doing what he does. Every single finale has had this sort of happen, and this is not unlike almost any other first part of a two-parter that he's done before. And I would imagine the second part is going to be very similar results. I don't hate RTD, so I'm allowed to so I allow myself to just enjoy it.
So he's not going to chimnel it. That's what you're trying to say.
I mean, no, I mean, he's going to RTD it.
Yeah, exactly.
Ding.
Which for some people might be worse, might be better. It's like, but I do feel like, it does feel like he's trying to RTD himself.
Sure.
There's just too much here. I mean, it's just every single scene is a cameo or an egg or a reference or some potential plot thing or something. Like it's a lot. And I don't know. I just feel like he's just now just doing it to do it. And I don't expect, half this stuff to be resolved, let alone resolved satisfactorily.
Okay.
But I will say that there's really, really good moments in here, which I'm sure we'll get into, but because he's doing what he does, which is give us a lot of great character moments within this sort of bonkers thing that he's issued, that we're supposed to somehow take seriously, which I just don't. I don't have any real,
Faith
what's
in
the
it?
word? I don't really have any, it's hard for me to take all of this seriously and think, oh my God, this is really something that's going to destroy the world, or that's there's no stakes here. I don't feel any stakes at all in this.
Okay. All right, Melanie.
I liked the episode. I think it was a very safe episode. And for me, I'm going to kind of analogize it to sports, in that I like watching it's fun watching games where when it's not your team, but let's say it's your team, and you've basically got a nice comfortable lead. You're good. You're going to win this. So now you're going to see trick plays. Now you're going to see other fun things. You can see the players are out there having fun, and that kind of thing. Because now they're just going out there and playing, because they're not, having to think, okay, I don't want to give 110%, but we're going to have fun out here. Whenever the episodes attach to an arc, that's where I think the more of the work comes in, where RTD is going to be strategic in this episode, such and such is being, there's Connor. We finally, we've got the Rani and everything. Love the fact that they showed new audiences who the Rani is, and kind of the classic people go, flashback photos. And there's a lot of that kind of stuff in here.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Fan servicey. That's what it's supposed to be for the
Right.
fans.
Right. Because he did the same thing with the toy maker when,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And so, and I'm good with how it was done. It was, it's fine. I don't think it was as much fun for me like last week's episode, but Mike's point, I am hoping he sticks the landing and we're good. And I'm not here to be stellarly impressed. I just want good episodes, and it was good.
Okay. No, you didn't beat up your husband, in other words, this episode.
No, he was bruised. I wasn't going.
Yeah, exactly. So
No.
we got comments about that on the Facebook. So it's good. I agree with what everybody's saying.
Then call somebody. I don't think he's in a safe environment.
I have pillows. Did you see it? No, I didn't do that. Maybe a couple times. Just
Okay.
when I saw, and I can't. I've woofed on her name. They were the actress who played the Rani before.
Kate O'Mara.
Thank you. Seeing Mel come back out, and that she was the neighbor. I was like, good. They actually showed Mel again. And
Yep. Yes, and everyone had their mugs falling through the table. So
tables don't do that.
I know. We'll get into that. Don't worry. We'll get in. Overall, my initial thoughts was, man, this is intense. We watched it, I've watched it 3 times so far and loved every scene that I've liked it. And there's things I would have changed if I was writing the story. I would have simplified it in some ways. But, like Mike said, every scene had an Easter egg, or every scene had something. And, this also showed me that I hate Conrad just as much. That hasn't changed as, at all. So, I just want to see the Rani push him off the side of the skeleton building or something. It's like, oh, I don't need you anymore. Kind of like Missy did in that one episode, that guy who was squeeing next to her, and she just zapped him. Yeah, exactly. I want to see something like that happen to Conrad. So I think this, continues some very interesting thinking. It opens a lot of different things, some things about Poppy, some things about, Belinda. I was great to see Mel. I loved what they did with Unit in this. I loved that they turned it into an insurance company. It was just awesome. And it was neat to see. And I'm still trying to figure out those giant walking dinosaur skeletons.
Those were cool, though.
They were cool,
Yeah.
but what
why
the
were they
hell?
there?
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently Conrad thinks they're cool too.
Yep, he must have played with dinosaurs as a little kid.
I mean, if everything on here is because he wished it, then I guess we have him to blame for all the bone.
I will say this: my first complaint about the episode. I wish that they didn't start back in, whatever this 1400s Germany or whenever that was. It would have been great if they would have just opened the episode with the Doctor and Belinda in bed, waking up as a couple. And because the last time we saw them, the TARDIS was exploding again. And so we'd be like, huh? What? Type thing. And they could have done something in the next scene with the Rani, after the credits and everything, going, back into getting the baby and everything for the seventh son of the seventh son, and of the seventh son. So it was interesting. So they tied the Rani in, they tied Mrs. Flood in, they tied the gods in, and it was just, it's like, how much can they throw down your throat or something, So
RTD is really trying. I mean, he throws there are so many cameos and so many references and so many things in this that, I mean, it's hard for me. To me personally, it's too much. It's hard for me to get invested in any of them because I just don't. I don't think he's giving them time to really and focus to grow. Instead, he's just throwing one thing at us after another, and I just, like I said, I now. That's like I said, I do like a lot of the scenes between the characters, and I think there's a lot of compelling things that happen there. And in particular, I cannot stress this enough. Archie Punjabi is amazing as the Rani, perfectly cast.
She's very much so.
She's electric when she hits the screen. She's having a lot of fun chewing scenery. She's even managing to channel a little bit of Kate O'Mara in there, which I love.
And I love her sonic screwdriver. That is awesome. Because if you look at it, and it almost looks like a doctor's shot.
It's like a syringe.
Syringe. Yeah. Exactly. And I love that it's purple. And it's and so it's really, really well done. And I can't wait they release that as a toy because, it'll be added to my collection of Sonics. Definitely. And, it's really cool. But no, Archie is amazing as the Rani. But I do feel bad a little bit for Mrs. Flood, and everything.
Why? Yeah. She's having the actress is having a great time. She's a great foil.
Truthfully, though, I would have loved to seen her as the Rani in this episode and everything. That she was the Rani the whole time, and type thing, and that she doesn't need. It's almost like too much having two Ranis in there. If Mrs. Flood was the Rani the whole episode series, I think in this episode, I think it would have been great. And it would have made the build up that we've had the last two seasons, to build up to her, being the villain and I'm the Rani, ha 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 ha, and doing everything that Archie's doing as the Rani.
Yeah, she's Igor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She is.
I disagree. I just find I don't like. I think the part is great, and I think she's relishing in it. Anita Dobson's doing a great job with it, and
I'm not
making it
saying
really
she's
stand
not
out.
doing a bad job.
And all those, everybody who was saying, "Oh, well, now she's just relegated to a slave or whatever." We see in this episode that she's not doing that. She's biding her time, but there does seem to be some confusion though, because it did seem like all this time that we've seen her, she was working with or for somebody. Mm-hmm. And now we kind of find out that she's working for herself. Like, I don't quite understand how that really plays out. I don't think that Russell T is going to give us that. I think that's just something that he's just kind of put out there. But
but it doesn't explain why she's been breaking the fourth wall. It doesn't explain,
she's working for Omega.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I don't think so. She's not in communication with him.
How do we know she's not in communication with him? They didn't establish that.
No.
Exactly. She's not. So therefore, we can't assume that she's.
We don't know that. We don't know she's not.
Yeah.
We don't know that she is.
But
that's the problem.
I loved her attitude though when she, when the Rani told her to make the sandwich, and she says, "Oh, sure. Do you also want me to cut his toenails for him?"
I mean,
that was just awesome. But
the whole plot thing too is just, sort of like, okay, so she's got the baby, she can wish things. Why doesn't she just wish for the Omega to pop up? Like why does she have to go through all this? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Why?
And that's some typical RTD stuff.
Right. And he
does actually explain that though. That there has to be a tear in reality for Omega to be.
That's not an explanation. That's an excuse. That's a
no,
written.
It's not.
That
is an explanation. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that at all. That is an explanation.
Yeah, it is an explanation, but it's a lame explanation.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's great, but I think it is.
But it's so crazy, you have this God who, you could wish anything with, and it's going to be interesting when the doctor has to either banish that baby or whatever type thing in the next episode. It's like, oh, that's going to get kind of interesting. Exactly. Or, take it to another plane of existence or something to get rid of it. Because truthfully, this is Wish World. We don't even know if this is not Earth, or is it, type thing. So.
Yeah, they don't really establish that, whether it's still Earth or.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really
that's adding way too many complications to what is already convoluted.
It's already convoluted
as it is.
Yeah, it's very, because we don't even know where's Rani been all this time. I mean, it was a time war. As far as we knew, it was just the master and the doctor. Where's the Rani been? She just shows out of nowhere. I mean, it just seems kind of weird. It's like we don't know where she was. And same with Omega. If Omega shows up, it's like, okay, where have you two been?
It's been established that Omega was in exile.
It's not Omega.
Well, wasn't that in Capaldi's era? That wasn't Omega that got thrown out of Gallifrey too. There was another.
That was Rassilon.
Yeah, so Rassilon's around too somewhere.
And even Connor in his little story time thing was like, there was only one Time Lord left. And then Conrad. And he's like, there was only one Time Lord. And then there was only this. And then we only had two. And I'm like,
how the whole episode, Conrad was referring to him as Doctor Who. Not the Doctor.
I did like that.
I did know
that. That was hilarious, actually. That was RTD trolling. There's a lot of RTD trolling.
Oh, there's so much trolling the trolls in this one. And Conrad is such, who RTD is going after in this. His
name is who I said it is.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's interesting too, because, I think Mike brought it up about the disabled people and the people who are not worthy of Conrad's attention. We're all, still have some memories of the world that was, as they called it. And you had Shirley, you had all the gentleman who was blind, the other people who were handicapped and stuff. But then you had Ruby down there too. And what was with that?
Well, that's because Ruby experienced 73 yards. You experience an alternate reality, and that was bleeding through.
Right.
But you could also say that Ruby was having mental health issues. And that was a reason why. And also because she had had this relationship with Conrad, but Conrad totally dismissed her. And so she was invisible to him because the whole point was these were people that were invisible to him.
I'm agreeing with that, but I'm also kind of thinking it might have something still to do with the snow appearing with the music and such.
Boy, you're going way back to the snow.
I forgot about that.
It's still out there. RTD never explained that. And, it got so much that Maestro was like, that's not right. That's just not right, and it actually frightened Maestro. So there's something there. And I thought possibly that was a reason why Ruby was had memories of who the doctor was and who, knew Shirley and knew, are you, your name's blah, 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 type thing. Your name's Mel.
In the past, they've just been like, oh, well, you've traveled with the doctor, you've been in the TARDIS, so things don't apply to you sometimes. And that's what I kind of felt like here. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not a story point that I think that RTD cares about. And I don't want to waste a lot of time on it, but I just feel like there's a lot of like holes here, and
That's a minor one.
and that's not even in the top 20.
Yeah. So,
but it was really, really, I'm not a huge, like I said, I've been saying I'm not a huge Ruby fan, but I did like the use of her in this. I thought she was great.
I think this is one of the best uses of her actually as a character in the series.
It might be my favorite actually.
And it was interesting how her mom and her grandmother even turned against her again.
Again.
Yeah. Again. So
everyone turns against her.
Poor Ruby. So yeah, and it was neat to see, and I actually liked her a lot in this one. And, when there was a knock at the door, I was actually surprised to see it was her, when the doctor answered it. Or, excuse me, John Smith. He's not the doctor. So, yeah. And I thought it was interesting with the marriage between John Smith and Belinda that you got to finally see Belinda's mom, and you also got to see her auntie. And you also got to see their child, so you got to see Poppy again. And
Poppy for the third time.
Yep. And I think there's more to that.
I think so.
Oh,
too.
there's got to be more to that.
Yeah.
Of course, there's more to that.
Well,
Especially since at the end,
I hope there's more to that.
She's a real person,
where the doctor says she's a real person or whatever. It's like, okay, well that.
Oh,
right,
you know
so
how
she's
you
really
know how
there.
many people out there, exploded when he said, "She's my daughter," and it's like, oh, so she's Susan's mom now. Okay, there you go.
That's what I was thinking too.
That's what I thought.
And then I thought, well, if that is the case, wouldn't it cause a paradox? Because that goes all the way back to the first Doctor, where Susan is an adult or maybe a teenager. I don't remember what her actual age was. Would have been probably a teenager. But I'm like, wouldn't that cause a paradox if it's a 15th going all the way? That I don't know.
Well, but the thing is, in the first Shooty season, when he was explaining that he had a granddaughter, Ruby asked him, do you have children? He says, not yet. And so it's the whole paradox thing, Yeah. And so,
well, you're a time traveler, so
exactly, exactly.
It can happen anytime
Wibbly
along your
wobbly,
timeline.
You might have River pop up or something,
We find out Poppy was loomed on the Space Babies station.
Right.
Yeah.
Get the yarn.
I mean,
you know what? Fine.
Exactly.
Actually, she calls Shooty and Ruby mommy and daddy in Space Babies.
Mhm.
Poppy does.
Yeah.
And he says, we're not, but I wish that we were.
Yes.
But here it's not the Doctor and Ruby. That's her parents. It's the Doctor and Belle.
I don't think that matters.
And that, it's just like, talking about Ruby on this and all that, and then getting into Belinda, I have seen some really harsh criticism about Belinda this season, and
not deserved at all.
I am not feeling that, except I will say that I do appreciate, and I think some fans don't, but I do appreciate the fact that they show her. They seem to go out of their way of showing her at times when she's like really emotionally vulnerable. Like in the last episode when she kind of had the nervous breakdown, understandably, because on the one hand, she had just said, I kind of like traveling with this guy. It's really cool. We get to see this song contest, to witnessing one of the most horrifying things she's ever seen in her entire life. So, and being alone and being abandoned and alone after that. So I give her, credit for that. And in this one, we have that scene where she runs into the woods and sort of does sort of a similar breakdown. But I appreciate that. And, then the fact that I kind of thought the first time I watched it that she kind of turns on the doctor pretty quickly when she turns him in. But watching it a second time, I do realize that they do seed that, and they do it does lead up to it. So that, it's only when Belinda finds out that the doctor might be interested in someone other than her that she turns him in, which I thought was kind of an interesting motivation there for her. But,
well, especially seeing Rogue on TV, it's like yes,
and apparently they filmed that like first season, so they knew going in what was going to happen here, which I thought was really strange.
Yeah, you're not going to see Rogue in the next episode.
It doesn't. It surprises me that RTD plans that far ahead, because it really doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
Too. That poor man's like, I'm still in that little hell dungeon dimension thing. By the way, remember that?
Thanks a lot for that. Yeah.
Thanks for.
And by the way, there's no rationale for this to happen, and it's never going to be explained. But it is a fun cameo. But it's not,
Now, the only thing I was like thinking while I saw that, it's like they had Susan pop up real quick.
They did.
Yes.
And then they went to Rogue, and it's like, why couldn't they have had Susan just do that? There was no reason for Rogue to be there.
How did we get a communications device in hell?
Well, exactly. Hi, I've been able to establish this communication with you using what? Fire and brimstone.
But why anything? Because Doctor Who.
Of course.
Yes, and I've been, because I'm here in hell, and I'm watching you go, like I'm watching you break break mugs through tables. Like
exactly.
That's how I'm serving my sentence in hell. Is I'm watching you.
Yeah, you have to watch him do it over and over and over again.
Exactly. If I have to see another broken mug, I'm gonna so I needed to call and say something.
And every garbage can was filled just with mugs. No other garbage and everything. Just the mugs.
Well, that's all we saw break.
Yeah, but also garbage cans also said the word slip on it, so it was like it was supposed to have all the broken bottles in there.
Exactly.
Well, they kind of wish, they do with Wishworld. They kind of wish all the sort of realistic problems away. I mean, as I think it's what's her name from Unit? That
Kate.
Not Kate.
Or Shirley.
Yes, Shirley says that I should be on medication, but I'm not. But I'm fine. So that's because
she has spinal bifida.
Right. Yeah. But I mean that just goes to show you how well RTD's saying basically he's showing us the tape that's holding this together. He's showing us this how loose this tape is. He's saying
exactly.
Oh, well, yeah, some of this stuff doesn't matter because magic. And then another time he actually has the Rani say to the doctor this isn't just exposition, which she's been saying for the past
that was
10
actually
minutes.
pretty funny. Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Did you guys also notice though, and once again something that's been carried through the season is the 1950s style.
Yeah.
And,
or that sort of retro future.
Yeah, the whole retro, exactly. The whole retro look and feel was carried through and even into this episode, looking at the radio, looking at the TVs, looking at the technology. And, even the style of clothes everyone was wearing, what the doctor was wearing, with the suit and the bowler, and what everyone was wearing in the office, even
the kitchen.
Yeah,
the fact
kitchen.
that they decided to do a period kitchen, that's not cheap. And then,
No.
like to your point, the office with all of the desks that are wood with drawers and handles
and typewriters.
Mm-hmm.
No computers. No computers.
Nope.
There were no computers at all. That's why, when Shirley pulled out the iPad, it basically was like, I don't know what this is, but it has power,
Mm-hmm.
And so,
but I know how to use it. I know I have one, and it doesn't make sense either. But
but I think that's just RTV's whole commentary this season has been that people are trying to return this world to an idealized version of the 1950s, which never really existed, which was filled with hate and bigotry and misogyny and sexism.
Well,
and has never existed, and yet this is the world that people are trying to return us to, and it doesn't work. The cracks will if you try to do that, the cracks will always be there, and it will never hold. And I think that's his whole theme of the whole season.
Well, exactly.
And to your point, the skeletons aren't in closets; they're walking around in plain sight.
Oh, yes.
Well,
that's a very
exactly.
good point.
That is a very, very good point. And you saw the reaction of Colonel Abraham when the doctor, when Colonel Sexy, when the doctor said, you're a fine looking, young man.
Beautiful.
You're a
beautiful man. Yeah. And it's just like, what did you say? Type thing. And it was just like, I thought the stupid part was when the Rani was flying around on that little,
scooter.
I love that.
I kind of dug it too.
I thought Archie owned that. She was just having a blast, and I was like, "You go, girl! You are like
no
working
problem
that
with that
thing."
at all. That was just fun.
What an entrance!
Very campy, but the Rani is
it was
supposed to
total
be campy.
camp. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of camp in this, and
yes.
a lot of camp, and I don't know. I don't know if that's something that they're like pushing more of the last season or so, but they've actually like stated camp that they're doing it. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when she lowered the disco ball, I was like, God damn it, RT.
Oh God, the disco ball.
I did say that out loud, but at least they just started kind of dancing, and I'm like, okay, well, this is better. I was waiting for
like Saturday Night Fever.
I was waiting for Rasputin to play it.
Judy, I turned to Judy and I said, "Oh, every arch enemy's, villain's headquarters has to have a disco ball in it, that thing."
Yeah.
I mean, if you're the Rani, that's all right. And I think she's shown that she's not just all like spit and vinegar. She's got some flair to her, and she's got some fun to her.
And once again, we got a villain who doesn't think of herself as the villain.
Exactly.
Well, villains never think of themselves as
exactly. She
knows she's doing some bad stuff.
Well, she doesn't.
It's not bad stuff in her mind.
In her mind, it's not bad.
It's perfectly justified.
Yeah.
But she knows she's
to an end.
But
she knows she's the baddie here.
Because she even said in the episode,
she's killing millions and millions and millions of people, and she's like,
she doesn't care because they're lower.
Exactly, that's what makes her a bad guy.
But that's not trying to do something. She thinks of herself as the bad guy.
Yeah, she doesn't.
She thinks it's all in the service of
science,
bringing Omega.
No, I think she's a villain, and she just likes it.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah, she likes being cool.
She embraces
I
being
didn't say she's not a villain. She's definitely a villain.
Yeah, but no, I don't see it. I see it that she's thinking that she wants to restore. She wants to bring Omega back. She wants to bring Gallifrey back. She wants to.
Does she?
It's in the trailer for next season. Yeah.
She's the hero of her own story.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Conrad doesn't think of himself as a villain either.
Yeah, but I spit at him every time I see.
Oh yeah, I mean he is. He absolutely is.
Yes.
But he doesn't think of himself.
No, even in Lucky Day, he didn't think of himself as the villain. He thought he was doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Conrad is more deluded though than the Rani is. I don't think the Rani is deluded.
Or even when he said to the doctor, the last time you saw me, you said I'd amount to nothing. and look at me now, type thing. It's
I
like,
think
Which is
Rani
weird because
totally
at first-
diluted, because if she doesn't think that Omega would just squash her like a bug,
well, exactly.
But even when
That's
he's
why.
like,
That's
look
why
at me
she
now.
needs two of them. That's why she needs. That's why she has two. She has two of herself. I guess. I don't know. We still don't know. Look, Time Lord and Lady, Time Lord plans are always bonkers. We've seen that from the Master. We've seen that from the Rani. We've seen that from any other. Every time you get a renegade Time Lord to do stuff, their plots make no sense. They're just bonkers, and that's fine. I appreciate that as well. One thing I did really appreciate about this story that took me, that was a twist that I found refreshing, was that yes, they're in this world, and there are cracks forming, and the whole point is to have those cracks form and have those cracks actually break reality like that.
Right.
That we hadn't seen that before. Usually they're trying to, control things, and they're trying to, like when Mrs. Flood, that version of the Rani, says that her job is to extinguish all doubts. That's not true. Like she knows as well as everybody, as well as the Rani, that like the Rani, she knows that they need doubt.
They want doubt.
She even says that's the whole
doubt.
point.
Yeah.
So, but I did really think that was a nice twist on that sort of trope-ish story about like, controlling through giving everybody what they want.
yes, but was it a Susan twist?
Ooh.
That's what I was just thinking. A twist.
We do see her again, which is like, I'm like, why?
In the same outfit she was in the Beatles episode.
It makes no damn sense. Like, and I feel like that's where RTD is like trolling us. Like another instance where he's trolling us. Like, I'm gonna put Susan Twist in this. Why? Just to mess with people.
I think the Doctor's going to keep falling. He's going to fall through a crack, and he's going to go and he's going to land, either go through the hell dimension that Rogue's in and grab him, or there are Rogues still in the same dimension as Omega.
I thought that also, truthfully. But I also thought, wouldn't it be kind of cool if Susan shows up with the TARDIS?
That would be cool. Honestly, and it probably won't happen, but I honestly want to see the Tooth come back because of how we keep having these like call back to Tennant and other times that RTD has written, and just make a bi-generation out of the Tooth and have Sasha Jawan and Missy show up as a bi-generational Master and go against the Rani instead, which would be totally not what the Master would ever do, but it would totally help Missy get her arc that she didn't get.
I'm just gonna watch Time Lords bi-generate to the point where they just repopulate all of.
I know.
There's going to be like 18 Corsairs, 43, 46 Ronnies. I just realized I didn't make sure they're even numbers.
Is only Time Lords because they've crowded everybody else out.
Exactly.
I would, hopefully if we don't see this online or on the series at some point, then maybe we get this on Big Finish. But if we can have a story with two Ronnies and a Missy, that would be amazing.
Yes.
Very much.
I
would
really
love
wanted her so badly there.
That would be a scene chewing contest between all of them, and it would be so much fun to watch.
And where's the 14th Doctor and Donna during all this?
Don't talk about
somewhere in France. Remember, this all happened in London.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's not. It's called Wish World, but it's actually just Wish Country. They're just like they're just
open. We go through Pete's world. Rose comes back.
You'd love that,
Mike. How could you? This is a family show.
Oh, please. Yeah, we've never been a family show, so it's okay.
I don't know. I think bringing together this sort of fan wanted, like the Rani and Gallifrey and Omega, it just is great in some ways, but then you partner that with the Pantheon, it just feels bloated. It feels bloated.
Well, I'm hoping actually that we don't see Omega, I would love that the Doctor's able to seal up the cracks or whatever before Omega gets out.
Actually, that would be great.
Yes.
If they're trying to make Omega this big thing and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
He
No,
Have you
exactly.
never seen an RTD finale? I'm sorry.
No. I know that. I know where you're going with that, Mike. But I think that would be awesome. And I loved how they used the original voice of Omega, from the Three Doctors. And I thought that worked really, really well. But I think it would be awesome, at the, you see maybe a glow or something, and then poof, everything closes and everything's okay. Yep, he doesn't pop out. Sorry, can't do it. Because I think it's going to be too rushed. It's going to be too much. Because this episode was, in some ways, too much. And, some people, that I saw on Facebook and such said, the first 15, 20 minutes was boring. They were like,
Oh my God, I thought that was the best part of the episode.
And then they said, but after that, it was great. But
not counting Bavaria, but
yeah, but
I like Bavaria.
But the WandaVision one, I mean, I was fine with
the whole
Bavaria.
WandaVision vibe was like awesome.
It was pretty cool watching
Why are they
turn the woman into violence.
Yeah, Violet, and then turn the kids to ducks.
And the ducks.
And then
Oh
he's an
man,
owl.
that's very disturbing. That's more disturbing than the Master turning people into little action figures.
True.
They're both kind of equally disturbing.
I don't know.
Very
I think I'd rather be a little action figure than a duck.
Yeah.
Quack.
Quack. You quack you. And then the father got turned to the owl. And so
Yeah, and then the mother got gomoshed. So
Yeah. Well, your name is Violet.
Actually pretty horrifying.
Yeah. And I thought Archie did that scene so well. I thought that was just
actually, she did do that well.
And it was campy, it was evil, it was just
When she walks in there and the mother says, when she grabs the baby and the mother says the name is Jonah, and she says that name is terrible.
Yeah.
She is channeling Kate O'Mara there, and but yet she's still making it her own. And I'm like, this is the Rani. Like that's the moment for me where I was like, yep, she's the Rani now. And I mean, it's awesome.
Out of all the Rani episodes, I'd say this is the best Rani episode.
That's not a high bar, Mary, at all.
I am not saying that it is a high bar, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. Thanks, Pip and Jan Baker,
I think I was hoping that RTD was going to shoot for higher than that, but we'll take it.
No. And so it's going to be interesting to see where they go with it. Any other final points you want to get to before we finish up reviewing this and do our ratings?
One thing that also bothered me about it, even though overall I really liked this episode, was that with the people who were basically invisible, and they're all banding together and they say they have a plan, but it never goes anywhere.
No.
Nothing ever happens with them.
Right.
And that I would have liked some sort of payoff.
Yeah, their plan was just to go in front of the building and look.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's
and
like,
I mean,
sneak.
who knows? I don't have a lot of faith, frankly, that it'll get paid off in the next episode.
Yeah. As far as we know, they got
more.
smushed by the building as it went
They
down.
basically did. Yeah.
I did say out loud to the television, "Where did you get the tripod?"
Yeah,
Because look, I found this. I'm like, what was it? Just strapped to Shirley's wheelchair. She's like, look, this thing's really fancy.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. One of the things I noticed too was, did you notice that Belinda disappeared when she walked through the threshold?
Yes.
The second time.
Yeah.
So it was like, has Belinda not been real this whole time? Maybe she was an illusion or something.
Well, there's still.
Oh, that is very possible. We could be looking at that episode where everyone during Matt's era was not real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So-
You mean
wait,
like in the library?
Yeah.
The library, but there was also the one with Amy Pond where she was an illusion.
Oh, that okay.
Yeah.
wasn't the portal though that separates the wish world from quote unquote reality, right? Is that why they needed the
No,
portal?
yeah, or at least the hub, the safer. The
Okay,
safe
so this is
place.
another RTD. Just I'm wiping my hands of this. Whatever this is.
Exactly. Because
I
literally,
want to put this in, but I'm not going to
Well,
explain
it's
it
like
at all.
the center of the Bone Palace was supposed to be the safe place. From you weren't going to get sucked into the tearing of reality,
right?
if you were in that part of the quote
But
unquote
it's
Bone
not.
Palace.
They'll probably say something that she got transported back down or something.
Yeah,
But
shut it off.
but who knows? But yeah, it was just weird. It was like she just disappeared. It was like poof,
Mm-hmm.
when she went through, and when it was just like, oh,
I still think it may be a virtual reality, which would actually explain the snow because it's like a snow on TV, like a TV signal that is fracturing.
maybe. Yes.
I really also appreciated the sort of 50s look, or the look that they were going for with Shooty and Bell, and the Doctor and Bell, I should say. And then Shooty going to work, and he's wearing the traditional English bowler hat and suit and everything, and he was talking about in the behind the scenes, the actor was talking about how weird it is to try to play a quote unquote normal person as opposed to a person who enters the room and he's like the most important person in the room, right? So he's saying that I had to tone it down, and it was just a weird experience to do these scenes as John Smith and not the Doctor. And I'm watching this the second time, and I was going, Shooty, there's just no way you couldn't look normal if you tried, man. Like when you like you're walking down this street, and there's 30 other people that are in bowler hats and suits and everything like that, and I'm like, they're Shooty. Like I know
Your
exactly
suit's
who he
tailored
is.
to you perfectly.
Well, I mean, certainly he's getting a little help from the production, right? Because he's supposed to stand out.
Yes.
But come on, it's like Shooty's just not. Like he can't do normal, which is fine.
No, and that's totally
we don't want him
cool.
to be.
No. All right. Let's go ahead and rate this. 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. MacKenzie, you're our guest tonight. You got to go first.
Well, I would give it the equivalent of an 8. So is that like a 4 then?
Yes.
Hmm.
All right. 4
A 4.
TARDISes. Okay. Melanie.
Funny enough, I would give this a solid 4 because one, this is a cliffhangery kind of thing. I think the second one will rise or make it lower because this is definitely a to be continued. But it's not like to the grade of a 3, even though there's a lot of pieces that maybe it's not my favorite. It's not going to be one where I'll rewatch it after I see the second one. But all the pieces that RTD had to make, I thought the pieces of the puzzle were cut perfectly. Everything fit. Everything was nice. Everything was planned. Maybe the end puzzle that I got wasn't the most difficult thing in the world. And it wasn't hard to put the puzzle together, but it's cohesive. It's nice. It was a good time. I enjoyed myself. There's parts where they get that tripod. I don't understand where they got that tripod. I'm focusing on this damn tripod.
Because Doctor Who.
Because Doctor Who. Yeah. But production-wise, thought it was amazing. This is the first time really for me that I could recall that bone was utilized as a set piece. So there's a lot of organic pieces to like just how it was sculpted, and it was sculpted in that the very thin lines are very strong structural, and I really dug it. So it's kind of neat with the monsters running around and all this other stuff. So production wise, as a former production designer in my early oh god days, this was just eye candy. Mm-hmm. Writing and everything.
Okay.
It's a 4. All the pieces fit.
Okay. Fair enough. Mary.
I'm also going to give it a 4. And, for different reasons, though, I think and this happens a lot with RTD, because what really stood out to me was the character moments. The whole interaction between the Doctor and Belle when they're playing the happy couple, and the way it's sort of their cracks are starting to show, and the way they play that is really well done. And the way they're interacting with Poppy, and the way she interacts with her mother, and how her mother betrays her in the end. And also the way that even the way the invisible people interact with each other, the way that even like the little like nuance of the scene where Kate and Colonel Ibrahim, even in this alternate reality, are still, there's still the
Attraction.
flame between them. And it's
She
just
likes Chinese.
Yeah, she likes Chinese. It's so well played.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think RTD's strength has always been in the character moments. And I think
very much so.
despite all the extra trappings of this, some of which I agree with and some I don't, those really stood out to me.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Gordon.
I'm going to give it a 3.5 because I do think it's very well produced and top-notch production still from, the top down. Everybody involved in the making of this is doing an excellent job. And Russell T is delivering what he delivers. So I'm not gonna give him points for deduct points for him not, for being himself. But I just think it's a lot. And look, I'm not going to sit here and go, I hope he comes through and sticks the landing, because I know he won't. I know he won't. To expect anything else is just to not look at his history and not look at what he does. Now, will it be, terrible? That I hope it's not, because this is not terrible. And he's trying, and he's also making Doctor Who history. And he's doing a lot of it in this one. He's promising a lot. And he's not gonna be able to pull it off, but I'm going to be really curious to see how much he can get away with next week.
Okay. Makes total sense. For me, I'm going to agree with the ladies and do a 4, but I have every right to change it next week, as all of us do. Mm-hmm. And I think this will be very interesting to see where it goes. There was a lot of little things. I love the character moments. I loved, when they were in unit, and I loved, Kate going, to the doctor, you're cutting it close, only 2 minutes. I had managers like that. And it's like, but I'm early still, but, type thing. And it's like, but you're not sitting at your desk ready to go at 9 a.m. It's like, I hated working for people like that.
That's late.
Yeah. So what? What have you done for me lately, type thing. So that was yesterday. This is today, So, overall, the production value was amazing. I loved even when the dinosaur skeletons were walking around and not crushing people. They explained that, kind of, sort of. But, it was... but it was interesting. And, almost like every scene was gorgeous. The scenery, the effects of the dinosaur skeletons walking through London, the Rani's headquarters above London was awesome. It almost looked like a hornet's nest in some ways, and it was neat to see. And it was a fun episode, and each time I've watched it, I've gone, that makes sense. Kind of, sort of, but it was interesting. But we definitely would love to hear from you guys at home. What did you guys think? Please, write us. feedback@earthstationwho.com is always the best way to do it. All right, we did get a piece of email, and sadly enough, I think Elizabeth missed the deadline. But we'll be seeing her in person next week, so she'll be our special guest on the episode. So I think it'll be a ton of fun to do. But we did get a little bit of feedback, and it was from our friend Peter. And Peter wrote, "Hi, Mike. Just finished listening to the ISC podcast and enjoyed the wide variety of comments, but agree with you that it was a really good episode. I, too, felt there were some one-dimensional characters, but felt it was due more to the length of the episode, which felt rushed to get everything in. Mike and Gary from the start acted like an old married couple, which was perfect. Felt the destruction of the Helly plant was too vague, and in Honey Poppy sounds like a drug. Sounded like the inhabitants were forced off the planet, but that was only implied. Kid was a typical terrorist, which is why he was not fleshed out, but apropos to the current history of what's going on right now. Anyway, thanks for the podcast. Just saw Wishes, and I will need to rewatch and listen to your podcast decisions to see if it made any sense. Thanks again, Pete Manis. Thank you, Peter. We appreciate it. Always good to get email from folks. And I like, that, brought up some good points. When we were talking about the episode last week, we talked about how, the corporation was basically burning the fields after they stole the honey flavoring and from that planet. But, and it hits home in a lot of different ways. And Kid was very one-dimensional, but he was a terrorist, didn't expect much more from it. So very cool. Thank you, Peter. We do appreciate you guys. As always, folks at home, if you made it this far into the video, please like and subscribe. We would really appreciate it. And it's always good to get, new subscribers, new people listening to the show, new people writing us. It's always great. And also always remember, we do have a Facebook group where we talk all about Doctor Who each week. So definitely check that out. And, while you're at it, tell your friends, tell your neighbors about us. We would really appreciate it. Come on, there's only one more episode of the season left. Come on, please. I'm not going to beg too much. Before we get out of here, let's thank everyone for joining us. MacKenzie, you made it through the episode. It was really great to see you on the show again.
Oh, thank you very much for the invitation. It was great, and I hope to be back and next time not take so long.
I hope not. Definitely not. Is there any place anybody where they can find your books?
Yes, you can get them off of Amazon or Barnes & Noble under MacKenzie Flohr. You can just search that, or you can go even through my website, MacKenzieFlohr.com. I'm also on social media pretty much everywhere as MacKenzie Flohr, except for YouTube. That's where I also have MacKenzie Flohr Extended, because I have VODs from video games.
Ooh. Well, thank you so much again. And you will be back sooner than later, I promise. And of course, let's thank our regulars. Ms. Mary Ogle, always great to see you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, and one thing I just want, because I just remembered to do this, a shout out to Murray Gold, because the music in this episode was really
once
great.
Again, once again, he is knocking out of he should be the MVP of the season, truthfully.
Yeah, he really should, because it's been great all the way through.
I agree. Where can people find your work, Mary?
They can find me at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Excellent. And Mr. Mike Gordon, we made it through another one.
We did. And as always, it's my pleasure.
Awesome. And where could people find you?
People can find me, obviously Earth Station Who. Bat Chums is another podcast. It's on the ESO network, where we review all the Batman series from the 60s. And we just opened up our Patreon, so that we have a Patreon account, which also, if you're on the ESO Patreon, you get the exclusive content as well there. But we're actually reviewing the Batman Cape Crusader show on exclusively through Patreon as well. So that's
awesome. That is awesome, sir. And Ms. Melanie Dean, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Anywhere people can find your stuff?
Not right now. I'm like Rogue. I'm in my own personal hell, except it's tariff hell. So I don't do anything
I did not
except
mention.
work.
I did not mention that word. I did not mention that word for you.
It just keeps
The
getting
tariff
worse.
dimension.
My work just follows me. So if you find me you can find me on Instagram at Pieces of Melee. You can find me on Instagram at Diamond Tech Crafts. If you have any tariff questions,
Yeah, exactly. There we go. That totally makes sense. She's still going, folks. The folks on video got a special show there. Yeah, exactly. For me, I'm, of course, doing this wonderful podcast, but I am also doing the Tales from Hollywoodland podcast, where this week we talk all about George Clooney, the reluctant movie star. So sadly enough, we didn't get to talk to George himself, but we talked all about his career. So it was kind of nice. And also over on Julian Schlossberg's Movie Talk, part 2 of our interview with Monty Python's Michael Palin. So very cool stuff and lots of fun with that. So check it out wherever fine podcasts are found. But of course, subscribe to us first. That's the most important one, as we like to say, because we got a season finale next week. Oh! So I am almost scared to watch it. But, I also made sure this week I watched it at like 9 a.m. in the morning so I could be able to.
Spoiled.
I would not be spoiled this week. So I'll probably have to do the same thing again next week. On behalf of all of us here on Earth Station Who, thank you as always. Hope everyone's doing okay, and we will see you for the season finale next week. Peace be with you, and we'll see you all then. Cheers. Bye.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.